Stephen berries. Praying one day Big Red will win the NIT.
Ham is the water of meats.
Ham the water of meats.
Ham is the water of meats.
Summer needs for
Ham is the
bacon.
water of meats.
We are live on Program TV, as requested by one Jack Mitchell, who said, why aren't we doing the videos anymore? And I didn't know why. I think part of it was that you were in the middle of like picking up your children from school and it was harder for you. So now that the kids are out of school, we can see your beautiful Wyoming Cowboys.
Good. Yep. I like to. I like to be able to see myself. That's very important. And then I don't do the cheek dial thing on the phone too. So that's good too.
Yeah, you did that 2 times last week. We were counting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an old man. I don't know how to use technology.
What is phones?
So your phone, you're probably one of the Apple, cult.
He's a smart person is what he is.
Yeah. My phone does not bring up the dial pad when you're talking on it. It's just the screen that says who you're talking to. But the dial pad, you have to push another button.
Same with ours. Jack must have, who knows what he was doing.
I don't know what I'm doing, you guys. I don't really know.
Look at him. I mean, right now we're just watching his hand.
Cool.
Is that a text? Is
That's my daughter. It says Omaha interview. Look at that.
Omaha interview.
Nice.
It's also a picture of Johnny. It looks like from about 5 years ago.
That's my daughter. So nice work.
Oh, that's not Johnny?
Wow.
John, you monster.
No, seriously. Okay, hold on. No, put that back up there again.
That wasn't.
I thought that was Johnny.
That's his daughter.
Seriously.
I could tell, Jack.
Well, now I can see
I'm
it.
a friend of yours.
Now I can see it. That looked like a young Johnny.
You very famously botched her name. Now you say that she looks like her brother. I'm glad she's not listening.
Listen, Dolores is a fine young woman. I know she is. She's going to grow up to be a fine young doctor or lawyer.
She laughs at my jokes. That's all I care about.
Or florist or whatever the heck she wants to be.
A florist.
Yeah. I thought that was Johnny.
No, he's taller than me. No.
Well, no, I thought it was like a 5 or 6 year old picture back when he was shorter than you.
No, it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Well, please tell Gertrude I am very deeply sorry.
I will. She never heard this.
Well, chances are she probably did. So how bummed are you? I know that I was thinking of you last night when I saw the Jose Torres home run. By the way, did anyone ever see the ball actually land in Fayetteville? The home run in the 9th? I never saw the ball. How bummed are you that Arkansas is not going to be here at the College World Series?
I have mixed feelings about it because I definitely enjoy their demise. There's no doubt about that. But it did give me sort of a fleeting interest in the College World Series, just to have a villain in there. So, it was good. It was enjoyable to see that they had lost, but I didn't have the heart to even turn on 1 second of super regional coverage this weekend. Made me too angry. So I've kind of checked out after heartbreaking losses that eliminate my team from the season. I pretty much check out.
So you just done with college baseball now for the rest of the year?
I don't. I might turn something on in the College World Series, but there's no bigger downer than the College World Series after Nebraska's in the NCAA tournament. They don't make it.
That's understandable.
It really does suck.
Yeah.
Your team making it really far, but not like to the ultimate end and losing. It's just a lot of your enjoyment out of whatever's next.
Yeah, I forgot. Remember like 2006 after Nebraska had made it like 2 of the last 3 years.
Out of the last 4 years, yeah.
Yeah, that was so disappointing. And so it feels a little bit like that. But I'm glad Omaha has it. I'm glad they're going to have full capacity. It's hard to get super excited about, but
conversely, does it trigger you because now North Carolina State has tied Nebraska for College World Series appearances with 3 apiece?
No, that does not bother me.
Okay, I was just checking. I want to make sure. I've got so many College World Series numbers and facts and figures going through my head right now. I just feel like occasionally I have to blurt out some of these College World Series facts to justify all the work I've been doing this week.
Can we go through? So I know North Carolina State's in. So I guess
would you like us to name the teams in the College World Series?
Let's see if I can.
Okay.
Oh, that's a fun game.
Yes. All right.
Or is it set? There's still games happening, right?
6 of the
There's
8
one happening right now, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so
the winner of this game will advance to the College World
probably
Series.
Texas College World Series. Okay. I finally got it. All right.
It took what, 5 minutes? Oh, all right.
Texas, North Carolina State.
North Carolina State.
We're at 2.
Stanford.
3.
Tennessee.
4.
Nice.
Vanderbilt.
5.
So he just needs one more.
You just need one more team
That is locked in.
that is locked into the College World Series.
Because there's 2 games today.
North Carolina.
No.
Virginia.
If they win here in another few outs.
Notre Dame. Oh, Arizona. Arizona.
I got him.
You got him.
And then who's Notre Dame playing?
East Carolina.
No.
I don't.
Dang, that was a good.
That's
good
not
job.
bad. That's not
Well,
bad.
I paid close attention last weekend. I was all in. I watched it constantly. I just fell off this weekend.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, here's a question for you. Do you have any more college baseball stuff? Because I was going.
I have no more questions about the College World Series.
Perfect. All right. So, Jack, along the lines of checking out of postseason when your teams get eliminated, have you thought at all over the last few days how different of a conversation we would be having around here about the college football playoff news and the expansion if Nebraska was like regularly a top 15 to 20 team? Because all of the excitement that I had last Thursday and Friday, I started thinking about it over the weekend and into this morning, and I'm like, man, we didn't even talk about it from a local angle at all, and that kind of sucks.
Right? Like, oh my goodness, this the reaction in a whole lot of places, top 25, perennial top 25 schools is like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a shot. We're probably gonna be in the playoff here at some point in the next few years. But then when they would go back historically and went through who would make the playoff over the last whatever years, I kept scrolling back and I kept saying, well, one of these years I bet Nebraska would have made it. Well, one of these years, nope, none of them. And so I kept thinking, okay, they expanded it so much. I bet one of those years somewhere going back, Nebraska would have made it. But I don't even know when the last time where that would have happened exactly. Maybe 2001. I'm not sure. That might be it, even with this format. And so, yeah, Josh, with that being true and where things are now, it seems a little bit fantastical to even start thinking of it that way. But I guess that's another added bonus. But my biggest reaction was like yours. It's pretty selfish, and it's got nothing to do with necessarily crowning the true champion or anything like that. I'm just thrilled to have 2 weeks of games that mattered in a time that was kind of a depressing time during the college football season in the past. And it just extends the season with games that are important, games that are interesting. And I love it. That first weekend is going to be insane. It's going to be just great.
Yeah.
It's going to be March Madness. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be March Madness for football.
I was going to ask this question of you. I didn't know where Josh was going to go with this conversation. It's a conversation I think I want to have here later in the program when we're talking about things that aren't the College World Series. But can a 12-team playoff be viewed better as an opportunity for Nebraska to return to something closer to the game's elite, or as a reminder that the Huskers are further away from relevance than ever? That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think while I don't, given what I just said in the last question, this sounds a little goofy, but I would say more the former rather than the latter, because you can see how it's. I mean, if they stayed at 4, right? I mean, I don't know when that even comes in the conference. Like, that is not even in the over the horizon at any point. If things got better, quick, and you go and you win the West one year, like, that's not insane, right? That is not totally look. A lot still has to happen, but man, that is a significantly lower bar than a 4-team playoff for Nebraska to ever get a chance to get into. So I would say that is more. That's a better. I think the value, the potential positivity of that outweighs the negativity of just not being a part of it, which, I mean, let's face it, that's already sort of here. It's never in whether it's the playoff rankings, whether it's the discussion down the stretch. I think of anything. I think the potential for something new and exciting and to really jumpstart things in the way that the fans, if that ever happened, would jump on it like crazy. That's got a whole lot more potential for positive than this does for just being we're not in that either.
Jack, you've been watching college football since what, the mid to early 80s, early to mid
to late
60s.
60s, yeah.
There's been arguments for a playoff going back before all of our time, going back, probably since the beginning of the sport. But are you surprised how fast stuff has moved over the last decade? Because if you think of how long it took to get from the beginning of the sport, 1869,
nice,
thank you, until like a guaranteed
College World Series,
for a guaranteed 1 versus 2, which was 98 with the advent of the BCS. It's 1869 to 98. That's 129 years. And then it took another 16 years to get a playoff. And now if we get it in a couple of years, which I think a lot of us think that's going to be the case, that will be only 9 seasons later. Are you surprised how fast things have changed? Like, what would you attribute it taking 130 years to even get us 1 versus 2? And then in the last 30, we're going to go from that into a 12-team playoff.
Well, the answer to your first question is, I am surprised, because at every of those turns that you mentioned, when it was the bowl system, and then when it was the BCS, and then it was the bowl coalition poll, and then the BCS, and then the eventual 14 tournament, each time you talked about the next step, or in sports radio, you guys would be talking about the next step. There will always be these quotes that's never going to happen. We're not even close to getting there. And even if you asked me a month ago about expanding the college football playoff, or maybe 6 months ago, I would have said, all I hear is that's just not in the cards. It's way down the line. The contracts are signed, those sorts of things. And yet every single time it's ended up happening. And so, it has. This took me by surprise. I thought it was going to take a while. I thought they were kind of set in their ways on this, but and I guess, I think what you attribute it to is just the changing, the changing value of the television stuff, is that you just realize more and more that it is such a huge part. There's so many dollars left on the table that it just wasn't the case nearly as much. That's been something that's increased exponentially. That's my best guess. I don't know if that's it or what it is, or once you started to take those steps, whether you took step 1, made an incremental step, that made you more likely to take the next step. And you took that second step, and that made it a little easier to take the next step after that. And once you start going down the road of changing the postseason, each step gets a little easier to do.
Yeah, I don't think I'm surprised that we got to this point. I've been saying it on the air for years that I thought that we'd eventually have an expanded playoff. I think I'm surprised that it's like this generation of the college football leaders that are the ones doing it. I thought that it would be like the next generation of administrators and athletic directors. I didn't think that it would still be this crew that is kind of 1 foot in the old door and then 1 foot in the new door, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then with all of the things, anytime you talk about any of these things, you got to preserve the Rose Bowl. You got to preserve the SEC championship game. It just seems like there's so many things that you've got to navigate, the old school things that you've got to navigate. And that goes to what you're saying, Josh. I think that's part of the reason why some of that old school stuff was going to be able to be cast aside. But evidently they found a way to make both of them work, it sounds like.
If selling alcohol, now I'm doing this supposing, because my theory is, Josh disagrees, but I don't think personally that selling alcohol in Memorial Stadium is necessarily going to be an attendance booster, if you will, or if some people are looking at this as a way to help preserve the sellout streak or help preserve large crowds, I don't think it's going to have the effect that a lot of people do. So give me that argument for just a second. If that is true, is that a reason then not to do it? Because a lot of people have used this as, well, we got to keep the sellout streak going, so we got to spice things up in the stadium. Well, yes. if my supposition is that I don't think it's going to have that effect, is it worth doing it?
See, I think I know that's in the question you're asking me, but I think I generally agree with you in football, but in basketball, I think it would be different. I think it actually would.
I agree. Yeah. That's why I say let's just say for football's sake, because Because I think there's a lot of other things with football that just make it very unwieldy to try to do this.
Yeah, I don't. If that's the case, maybe maybe not. If your argument is right, maybe not. I still think football is the last place you would of any place. That's the last place at Nebraska that I would want it. I think it'd be great to have it at Haymarket Park. I think it makes all kinds of sense to have it at PBA. I'm not so sure that it does. Less so at football games.
Is that because of how drinking is with football versus those other sports?
A little bit, but man, it's just so crowded, and it's just like lines and people going up and down the stand. It's just I don't need. Listen, I'm not a prude about this, but there is a part of me that just thinks, okay, if you're sitting in the stands and dealing with constantly people buying beers and just adding to the concessions and everything that's going on, I feel like that just makes, in some ways, that makes the in-game experience a little. Josh, we talk about this all the time. The reasons that we don't go to games now and we want to watch TV instead.
Sure,
it's crowded. There's people all around you, right? That you got lines everywhere. I feel like those things. I'm not talking about drunk people being the problem. It just feels like those logistical things would make it a little bit more unpleasant as well. And so for that reason, I think I say to John, yeah, maybe that is a reason you at least wait until it's really an issue, and then maybe you try it. If you do get to a point where you're saying, okay, we're only getting 60,000 fans here, and I don't know that you're ever going to get there.
I think it's the issues in the stadium are one of the biggest reasons why you don't do it, because it's such a user unfriendly stadium. And I hate to keep making it sound like I hate Memorial Stadium, because I don't. I love Memorial Stadium. It's a great, I love the old
venue.
stadiums,
Yeah.
But unfortunately we're now living in a time where we have, 2, 3 with Baxter, 4 with Ralston. We've got 4 relatively new arenas.
Last 2 decades, yeah.
In the last 2 decades. We have two brand new 3 with Omaha, brand new beautiful ballparks, 4 with the Storm Chasers, and they're all fan friendly. Got a lot of leg room, a lot of space. If people get up and need to move around, not that difficult. And it's more conducive to being able to go and wander the stadium, buy a beer, come back, or have people walk up and down the aisles. Memorial Stadium, Jack, as you know, used to sell hot dogs and popcorn and all that other crap. It's not a great experience, especially in the end zones.
And again, yes, what is negative? John, you're talking about the exact same thing I am. What is a reason that you don't go now? It's just, okay, it's going to be crowded. The seats are tiny, and in a football game, you know what I don't want to do in a football game where I get intense and it's really tight is mess around with passing people beers. Like I already don't love it with food, but it would go to another level with passing people beers if they were. I don't know if they'd sell them with maybe they wouldn't. They probably wouldn't sell them with actual hawkers. You'd probably have to go and get them. But people walking out in front of you. Oh, excuse me, pardon me. I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't be that big a deal, but that's the first thing I think of. And just giant lines at the restrooms and everywhere. John. That's completely what I think of here. Drinking beer at Memorial Stadium, maybe I'd change my mind if I had tailgated for an entire day and I was ready to go. But drinking at Memorial Stadium doesn't sound that fun to me. Drinking at Haymarket Park, having a beer at Haymarket Park sounds fantastic. Mm-hmm. Right? So
absolutely.
I don't know how to do you even get what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It makes perfect sense.
I think it's about the vibe of the sport. I really do, because I think a lot of us probably associate drinking with football. I associate binge drinking with football. Whereas baseball, I don't. It's more like, hey, grab a beer, grab a dog, have some sunflower seeds, sit back, enjoy a warm weather, nice day. I don't know why. That's just the kind of picture that I have in my head.
I'm up and down and I'm moving and everything at a football game, and it's tight and there's not a cup holder and all of these things. It's just a totally different experience to me at a football game. So it'd be the last place. It'd be the last place that I would want to do that of the sports.
Well, those of you watching, as you can see, we have a visual sports flash. Virginia has defeated Dallas Baptist 5-2.
Hey, you guys can't. ESPN's going to send you a cease and desist. You can't be broadcasting that.
Well, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get a cease and desist because one of our crawls a moment ago was an excerpt from Steve Sipple's column today. So I found out that we have a lot more characters on program TV than we ever had on Stibs.
Hey, that's
TV.
fun. That's a good way to get new viewers. Just print the newspaper.
Yeah.
Just print the entire newspaper, and people can read it when the show gets boring.
Wait until Big Red Overreaction this fall on the shows John and I do. We'll just start posting whole emails about why Scott Frost sucks from, Jed and other people who send in said emails.
Well, and those of you watching on program TV, I've also included a recent communique from Stibbs. Railing on Super 70 Sports.
A very good
I
take.
saw this. I thought he blocked him.
No, never.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow, this is a real tweet from Stibbs.
Yes, it's a real tweet.
He responded to them.
Things on here that aren't real.
Interesting. I'm going to retweet it. Good job, Stibbs.
It's a dumb tweet.
It was a picture of Dale Earnhardt and Willie Nelson and I don't know who else. And
they were wearing Wrangler jeans.
Wearing Wrangler. It was a Wrangler ad, and 70 Sports made a joke about how Dale Earnhardt ran the race and won it with Willie Nelson smoking weed in the passenger seat and eating Doritos.
That's pretty funny.
Bloat. The guy's the worst.
No, you are the worst.
No, I'm not. I'm much better than Super 70.
You're the worst because you didn't pay up on your flawed weather prediction, but Jack is going to this week with the walk of shame.
I would have loved to pay up.
And I guess you're going to be, now I won't be on Friday, but I guess you're going to be joining the guys on Friday as you're walking around Lincoln aimlessly.
Yeah, I think I will. Hopefully it'll work. Hopefully it'll work.
Well,
we just I think finalized our route. I just tweeted it out if people want to look, and if people are in Lincoln and
if you would have included a graphic, I could have put it here on program TV.
I didn't know. I should have. I don't have that right now, but I just calculated some of the times before I came on with you. But yeah, about 25 miles, starting at 7 a.m. Hopefully being done before 6 p.m.
At 7 a.m.
And we will see. And we're raising. And by the way, if you guys will let me mention it, we're raising money for Centerpoint, which also has a presence in Omaha as well.
And remind folks what Centerpoint does again.
Yeah, it's headquartered in Lincoln, but it is they do a lot of things. They offer treatments for mental health issues, a lot of anxiety and depression. People are dealing with that. They're very well equipped to do that. Substance abuse issues. They're kind of expanding what they're doing, even to housing and some full medical care type things, and they're expanding. But I think I think we all probably have someone we know or ourselves who have been touched by issues with mental health, especially coming out of the pandemic. And we had that a colleague of John's and mine, a friend of both of ours,
yes,
who went through that and took his own life, and that really kind of struck me and woke me up to some of these things. And I think there is when it comes to getting treatment for something like depression, anxiety, or even if you think that there's something there, it's kind of like, okay, that's a step I would never take. I don't want to take that step. I don't know what that step is like. It's scary. It's weird. I don't want to do that. And I kind of want to take down that stigma about that and help people understand what it's really like. So that's why I partnered with Centerpoint. And on my show, we've been talking a lot about what that looks like. They have 1-800 suicide hotlines nationally, and those are out there, and those are great things, I'm sure. But Centerpoint has that locally too. Like you can walk in, they will let you, regardless of your ability to pay. You need to talk to somebody, you need to get in there, they'll see you that day. There's a phone number that's 24 hours a day. These things are here locally, and I think they're even more effective locally. But Centerpoint's a nonprofit. They get some government funding, but it's also community funded. And to have places like this in Lincoln and Omaha that the community needs, you hear all of these stories. And John, you know this, police in Lincoln and Omaha find themselves dealing with mental health issues that they're somewhat trained to deal with, but really would be better and these people end up in jail, and police are dealing with it. And we know that both of the communities that we live in, the police have plenty to do right now. And so facilities like this are important in the whole health of the community, impact the police. They impact all sorts of things. Got so many teenagers. There was a story, just a devastating story this week I read about teenagers who took their own life during the pandemic. Centerpoint is a place that deals with those too. So that's what this is all about. And it's really driven by going through a suicide of a colleague of John and mine for a long time ago. And so we're going to try and raise some money, but I think I hope we raise a lot of money. I think even as important though, is just kind of painting the picture of what treatment for people who have mental health issues looks like, why it shouldn't be something that's intimidating or scary or embarrassing. And we call it the walk of shame, but I think the message is seeking treatment for these things isn't shameful at all.
Yeah.
And it can be really effective and it can change lives. And the good news is for us is the resources are here to do it, regardless of whether or not people can pay, regardless of financial situation.
I would wholeheartedly agree. So I look forward to I'll be watching from afar.
Thanks for letting me say that. But yes, now the hard part of this is I'm walking 25 miles and it's going to be like 95 degrees out. Luckily, Thursday is going to be 103. Friday looks like it's going to drop down 10 degrees, which is I think is awesome. And so basically for people who don't know is we kind of I go around the city and for businesses or organizations that want to support Centerpoint in this case, I'll stop by. We'll take some pictures. They'll have me do. One of the things I get to do this time, guys, is we have a martial arts studio who's making a big donation to Centerpoint, and they said they want me to come by and break some boards. So nice. I'm going all Danielson Cobra Kai. I'm very excited about that, and we're going to be around. And by the way, if anybody in Lincoln is listening, I'm going to send you guys a link for people who want to donate. We don't have it yet, but I'll send that to you guys if you want to publicize it later. And I'll talk on the show on Friday. But we're going to end up in the Haymarket at Tavern on the Square. They've generously hosted. They also are very supportive of Centerpoint. And they just said, why don't you guys all meet here afterwards? And we'll kind of meet some of the people at Centerpoint. So if there's anybody in Lincoln downtown and you just want to kind of end the week off with the celebration, we'll be there from 5 to 7 at Tavern on the Square afterwards.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we'll have more details, and Jack will be on with the guys on Friday.
Yeah. By the way,
I'll definitely send out the link when you have it for us.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Josh, I think I'll probably be at about mile 17, 18, depending on when I talk to you. Now I know you've done marathons, so this is not going to be all that impressive to you, but
man,
at least it's
that far in a day. That's a lot of miles.
Yeah. I mean, what Josh does is like a quarter step above that because he's jogging.
But Josh will understand this too. The problem isn't so much wind, like your wind from, obviously I'm walking 20-minute miles probably, but it's the little things that rub. It's little, pain in the back.
Okay, we don't need to hear about your rubbing.
It's the shoes that a sock is bunched up kind of weird. Like those are the issues.
Don't you get new shoes for these?
You don't want new shoes.
Yep. Shout out to Fleet Feet. They supported. They're supporting this, and they helped us out.
You're breaking them in, though, right?
They've got one in Omaha too. What?
You're breaking in the shoes before you
walk? As soon as I finish this, I'm doing 10 miles. Good. 'Cause it's really hot out. But I've been doing about 3 to 5 miles every day. So
awesome. Yeah, new shoes good. You don't want to buy the new shoes and then walk 25 miles.
I got some sweet New Balances for Father's Day weekend. Yeah.
I just got some new shoes last weekend too.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did I.
I got mine from Peak Performance. They're very cool. They're blue and yellow.
Those are good colors.
They are. Yeah, I'll tweet out a
colors.
picture tonight. They're Ram shoes.
They are Ram shoes.
They really are.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you on Friday, and thanks a lot for the time.
Thanks for letting me talk about it, guys. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Jack doing his walk of shame for Centerpoint. And we'll send out the links as soon as we have them, how you can help donate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Take a break, be back, and have more after this on 1620 The Zone.